What's going on, people? And today I am making a video on why I think Greedo in this game just isn't that good. Now, I'm gonna be talking about Greedo in the same way I talked about 9 in my 9 video on why I thought 9 just wasn't that good. Um, I'm gonna go over his kit, his positives first. What does he have over other characters? What makes him a potential niche character? Like, why would you pick him? What positives does he have? Because this character does have some tools, but there are um, a lot of issues this character has, which is why this video will be mostly focusing on the numerous amount of negatives he has. So right away, I want to talk about what this character can do, right? So his whole entire play style is focused on doing as much damage as possible to the enemy team, being able to chip damage people throughout the game to get his trait high, so he could eventually hit max trait and just devastate the enemy team, or at least try. Uh, and he has a lot of good tools to be able to do this. So first of all, we need to talk about high senses. So high senses, as you can see, allows him just to see people through walls. Really, really good ability. And it's exclusively unique to Greedo. No other character can do this. It's a bit like Ray's Insight in Battlefront 2, only a lot less good. Like, Ray's Insight in Battlefront 2 is really insane. Whereas Greedo's high senses, it's a bit less advanced compared to that. It just allows them to see through walls. It's really good for getting information, and it allows you to get information of where people are positioning, what they're doing. It tells you whether or not you're going to be able to get away with chipping certain characters and who you'll be able to chip. And it'll allow you to see which characters are near you and which ones aren't. Like, for example, if you think there's like a Han Solo coming and you activate high senses, oh, it ends up being Chewie, I back away instead and just let him come to me, chip him a bit, and just walk away, right? That's like the ideal way how you want to use this ability, right? And his grenade ability is probably by far the best part about Greedo, by far. Uh, it's tied into his trait. So as his trait gets higher and he starts doing more damage, his grenade starts leveling up with it. So at trait 1, he gets a thermal detonator. Trait 2, he gets a impact grenade, and he gets the thermal imploder at trait 3, which is really good. Now, the thermal detonator is super good in this game. It is super good. Once you get a regular kill or a certain amount of damage, you're pretty much going to be able to spam the hell out of the thermal detonator. And the thermal detonator does an alright amount of damage. It's not bad at all. I actually think it's actually pretty good when it comes to damage. I believe it does if you're standing right on top of it or you're able to hit multiple people with it. It can do up to like 100 to 150 damage, which is pretty good chip, and it makes Greedo's trait a little bit higher as well. So you'll get more points to your trait from doing that little amount of chip with your thermal detonator, which is really, really good in terms of trying to chip your opponent and trying to get them lower and lower in health while you're trying to get higher and higher trait. So it's a really good tool for you to abuse. And Greedo's weapon, I want to talk about his weapon real quick. His weapon is pretty decent. I don't think it's that bad. I think compared to Lando's Night Sniper, I think it's way better than Lando's Night Sniper, because Lando's Night Sniper has issues with accuracy and shit. I never really liked Lando's Night Sniper, which is weird because Lando by far is my favorite. By far, it's my favorite character. I never really liked his gun. I don't like the slow rate of fire. I don't like the accuracy. I just never liked his Night Sniper. Greedo's weapon, on the other hand, I love his weapon. It feels really accurate. Once you hit like higher levels of trait, it does a lot of damage. It feels really powerful. It gets the job done, and it never really, his gun never really feels like that it's bad in any way, like it's a hindrance to the character, or that you struggle to hit shots. It's a really accurate gun if you know how to aim it. It's really, really good. It doesn't, I've never had issues with it glitching out, or like missing shots, or shots not registering. I've never had problems like that with Greedo, ever. Ever. Maybe like a very select few instances of that kind of thing happening, but I've never had hit registration problems with Greedo. So his weapon is pretty consistent when it comes to accuracy and damage once you hit trait 3. Uh, and I'm not going to be talking about precision shots, because precision shots, I believe, is a really terrible ability. I do not think it's good. I think it's super unsafe, and I'll be going over precision shots and why it's terrible once we get into the negatives, which we're going to get into right now. So what problems does this character have? Well, we need to look at Greedo when he first came out. So when Greedo first came out, he was designed to combat that current metagame. That current metagame at that time was very different compared to what it is now. For one, armor was not prevalent at all when Greedo was first released. At all. There was no armor anything when the game first came out. Armor was non-existent. So Greedo never had to deal with the issue of characters being able to out-armor him and negate the amount of damage he was doing. But once Leia got her massive buff, once Chewie was released and started using Mighty War, once Back the Bomb was added and Bodyguard was added, all of a sudden regulars have better defensive options overall. They could use Personal Shield with Bodyguard and Bacta. There is just a lot of defensive options that people were able to use that really Greedo does not like. Greedo does not like seeing a lot of defensive items in this game, because it just hurts him real bad. It slowly negates the damage that he does, and it goes, it can make the difference between him being able to two-shot somebody and him having to three-shot somebody, you know what I mean? Because if you don't expect it, like if you miss like the third shot and it takes you like another half second for you to hit the guy, it could mean a difference between you taking an extra like 10 damage and you instantly killing the person and being efficient. Like Greedo does have those kind of problems against like armored up characters. He does not want to see shit like Leia usually. And Leia, I honestly think, is the biggest problem for him overall, because Leia, it's not just her armor trait, but she does pretty good damage. She has her honor guards, which are really hard to deal with. Her honor guards can shred Greedo like instantly and do massive amounts of damage to him. It's really annoying. That, and she can give her armor trait to other characters, which makes them bulkier, and it's hard to set up your trait on them. And you'll see that it'll be doing a lot less damage because some of that damage is being negated by the armor trait, right? So Leia is a pretty consistent defensive issue, and Chewie, when we look at the opposite side of the spectrum, he has a lot of problems with offense in general. As I said, when the other DLCs were released and there were more metagame options, there were slowly more stuff being added to the game over time that gave Greedo a lot more issues. The prevalence of E4 arising, disruption, the old disruption as well just completely shut Greedo down. And once people started to use that in the combination with the old E4, he had a lot of issues. Now, that stuff has been nerfed, but E4 combined with like strike packs and stuff that helps people, like modded tools that allow them to shoot the E4 at its maximum fire rate, shit like that. That will always give Greedo problems. And that's just talking about on the regular side. When we're talking about like him being able to contend with other heroes, he has a lot of issues when it comes to like frailty. Now, frailty, some people will probably question that specific weakness, because Boba Fett is frail. Fucking Bosk is frail. What gives? Why is it that big of an issue for Greedo and not that big of an issue for a character like Bosk or Boba Fett? Well, for starters, when you look at Boba Fett and Bosk, they have two things going for them that kind of negates that weakness. One, they have a way to basically change up the way they move. Boba Fett has a jetpack, and Bosk is the fastest character in the game, as well as other mobility options like his toxic escape and his super jump. So right away, they already have better defensive tools and ways to get out of the fight if they need to, or get into a fight when they need to. Greedo doesn't have those options. He has good offensive options, but his defensive options are pretty lackluster and poor. He doesn't really have a way to deal with a character when it comes to defense. He just doesn't have that. He doesn't have defensive tools. Whereas Boba Fett has a defensive tool in his jetpack. It can be used offensively and defensively. Toxic Escape, for example, is a good offensive and defensive tool. It can be used both ways. Whereas, like, Greedo's other abilities, like, you can throw the grenade down and run away. You could use the high senses to see where people are at, but that's really, like, all he can do in terms of defense. He can't really do too much in terms of stopping characters from, like, doing certain things. He can't really stop a Chewie from Muddy roaring and running at him, right? Because he's so frail. And oftentimes, you'll see Greedo hit max trait and end up, like, only getting, like, a good amount of damage or getting a kill and then dying immediately. Rarely will you ever see this type of thing that Chewbacca or Lando is able to do, where Lando is able to do massive amounts of damage to one person, turn someone's abilities off, do massive amounts of damage to another person and die. Or in the case of Chewie, apply massive offensive pressure to a certain villain, force them out, and then fight another one and either do massive amounts of damage to them or kill them, and then do massive amounts of damage to whoever's trying to come in and then they die. But even though he dies, his job is done, right? He's able to do what he's able to do because those characters have better defensive options. Whereas Greedo, his whole issue is that his offense is basically his defense. You're going to be in a way rougher position if you do not have trait as Greedo. If you have trait as Greedo and somebody, Han Solo's trying to run up on you and you're at like 100 health, it's like, okay, whatever, I'm at max trait. I'm just gonna do more. I'm just gonna out damage you and kill you. But if he has no trait, for example, because you've been offensively pressured and chipped throughout the game, and you have to play more of a defensive hit and run type of thing, like Bosk or Boba, and slowly have to chip people throughout the game, Greedo is gonna start struggling a bit because he has to deal with these characters that can deal high amounts of damage to him and take him out of the fight immediately. And his damage output isn't going to matter if he is like super low in health and can be one shot by those characters he's trying to insta kill anyway, because they can just do that right back to him before he can even hit max straight. Like Lando Calrissian, you can just power blast cancel and just fuck him up. You could just use his disruption and turn his shit off and make him lose trait and walk away. Luke Skywalker can just gank him outright and just kill him. Han Solo can just rapid fire before he gets any of his trait and force him into a defensive stance. There's a lot of ways to deal with Greedo in terms of like forcing him out of a fight and forcing him to play in a certain way that he doesn't want to play in. He doesn't want to run away from a fight. He doesn't want to do the long game. He doesn't want to chip people to death. He just wants to go in and deal massive amounts of damage. He doesn't want to play this, super advanced footsie game like Bosk does. He just wants to deal massive amounts of damage and get out. You see, like right here, I'm at trait 2, which is not a bad position to be in, but Chewbacca was just able to run up on me and just fucking destroy my health. Just like that. He just walked at me and fucking annihilated my health in like 2 seconds. This is where Greedo's frailness is like a huge problem because he often finds himself in situations where He's not about, he's not at trait 3, he's at trait 2, but he's just about to hit trait 3, and then Chewie comes in and just stomps you and destroys your health bar because you're not at trait 3 and you can't offensively pressure him. Him not having defensive options is going to hurt him throughout the game, and him having to use his offensive options, his defensive options, is going to hurt him, like, massively. See, like, right there, I tried to offensively pressure the Chewbacca, and he just mighty roared in my face and insta-killed me. That is a huge issue that Greedo was going to have. Greedo can't just walk up on a character and be like, well, I'm going to fight you now, because other characters can do the exact same thing Greedo can do. Oh, you're going to respond defensively if you're offensive pressure? I'm just going to do the same shit. Mighty roar in your face, dead. Lando, disruption, insta-kill you, dead. Leia, oh, I'm just going to walk away, heal, have my honor guard spawn in front of you, dead. You know what I mean? There's just so many ways that Greedo can just find himself in trouble and just get insta-killed like that. It just becomes a problem. To the point where you ask yourself, why would I play Greedo over Bosk? Like, why would I ever play this character over Bosk? Like, ever. Ever. Why would I ever play Greedo over Bosk when Bosk is able to run away, he's able to chip people easier, he's extremely fast, he has his Dioxis option, he has all these tools that Greedo doesn't. And that comes to another issue Greedo has, being outclassed. All these other characters, Bosk, Boba Fett, Orson, even Orson's offensive capabilities are absolutely pitiful. They're absolutely pitiful. Orson by far has like the worst 1v1 in the entire game, but he has things going over, that puts him over the edge in terms of like Greedo. He has a broken tool, an armor breaker, for example. Armor breaker is a very unfair broken tool that not that many characters have, and he's able to inflict it like on multiple people, and it just puts people into a position that you do not want to be in. And he has armor upgrade, which gives them +3 armor. And that's really, really fucking good. And his shield is a really good defensive tool. So even though that his offense is kind of lacking, he's a really good support character that inflicts a really powerful debuff and inflicts and gives your team really powerful buffs. So he has that going for him. Bosk, as I said, really good movement, really good ability to zone. Bosk's weapon will always be far better than Greedo's. Far better than Greedo's. Better range, better damage. Because of his better movement, he's able to get in positions, better positions way easier. He just has a way better time compared to Greedo. Whereas Greedo, if he's put in a tight spot, he's not going to be able to run away. Greedo oftentimes will just get destroyed by a Chewbacca. It's just going to happen, right? If Chewbacca decides to mighty roar in your face, it's over. Whereas Bosk, you have a chance to get away. You can super jump. You can fucking just run away behind cover and then have one of your teammates back you up. There's a lot of ways that Bosk can get away or enter the fight. There's a lot more that he can do. He has just better damage overall, better movement, better defense. Like I said, Greedo just doesn't have these things, right? He just doesn't have them. And Boba Fett, I honestly think completely outclasses Greedo. Where I think Bosk outclasses Greedo pretty badly, but Boba Fett, I think, outclasses him even more, because Boba Fett has an even better advantage over Greedo. For one, the jetpack is, Boba Fett is limited to 2 abilities. The jetpack more than makes up for it. Boba Fett is a really good answer to Chewie and Lando. He's able to put massive amounts of offensive pressure if he has really good Emperor support. He could just do Greedo's job way better. Way better. Way better. And now we have to talk about, the matchup issues. The whole reason why Greedo is bad in this game is because he has a fuck ton of matchup-related issues. a fuck ton of match-related issues that no other character in this game really has. No other character really has to deal with the matchup issues that Greedo deals with. No other character at all. Greedo pretty much can lose to every single character in 1v1. He loses pretty bad to Han Solo in the early game. He loses pretty bad to Leia if he's unable to get trait. He loses pretty horribly to Lando, and he loses pretty horribly to Chewbacca. And Jin can just armor break him and just out damage him. He just has so many issues in terms of like matchup. He just can't really get any room to do well. Like I said, this character was made in mind for the current meta he was made in. He was made to fight old Nyanum, old Leia, old Luke Skywalker. He wasn't made to combat this new meta at all. And it shows because he struggles pretty hard with all these other characters. Like, as you saw in that fight, I was trying to get in the fight and do damage. I missed a few shots here and there, and I just got fucking destroyed. I couldn't get max trait. My team it wasn't up to snuff, and I just got fucking wrecked. And that's the biggest issue that character has, by far. There's nothing you could really do to stop a Chewie from walking at you, or stop a Lando from just disrupting you and annihilating you. It's just going to happen if it happens. Every other character has at least one way to deal with it. Greedo can't. He can't deal with the options these characters have that will just give him a lot of trouble. It's his biggest issue by far, and it has always been his biggest issue by far. I'm going to pick Boss this game, just to show you guys like how much better this character is than Greedo, because I'm struggling pretty hard. I don't play Greedo that often, either. I usually don't play lower tier characters. I'm just going to show you guys how well Boss will do compared to fucking Greedo. Because I guarantee you, I fucking wreck this McDonald's wrecked boy over here who's just been auto-annihilating my Greedo, just been able to walk at me all game and fucking just insta-kill me. Let's see what happens now when I pick Boss, right? So, right away, you could see that there's a main difference in how I'm playing. I'm not afraid of like the offensive pressure people can put on me because I have a way to escape. I have a way to get out. I have a way to get in as well. I'm not scared of these other characters right now because I have a way of dealing with them. Right here, I have Toxic Escape, so I have a good way of pushing them back and chipping them, right? Right here, I'm using the windows to my advantage. Don't need to worry about my damage output because I already have pretty good damage output since I'm Boss. So right there, Luke's already dead. Already dead. Really good chip damage. I'm going to put my Dioxys right here. And then I'm going to run back. Chewie at this point, I think, is at max trait Mighty War. So back up a bit. I'm going to be doing a bit of passive damage. And now I'm going to use my grenade launcher. So put my Dioxys back down, lure him out a bit. Let's see if he'll fight. No, he doesn't. Now we come back in the fight. You see how fast I can just come back into the fight? Look how fast I'm able to get back into the fight. Chip him a little bit, back off. Put my Dioxys down too. Bait him. Come back into the fight. Right away. You're able to do all this with Boss and not fear for your life like you are with Greedo. See right here, he Mighty Ward, I just run away. See, I'm on low health. Now all I gotta do is worry about regulars. I got the Mighty War. Now all I gotta do is get this health. And also, you'll notice that Toxic Escape gives me better cooldown as well. So, I don't really have to worry about getting auto-wrecked. Shit, I fucked that up real bad. I might actually die here. But, let's see. Okay, no, I'm good. So, I was able to get him to use Mighty War, but he outdamaged me a lot. So, Bosk, as you could already see, I'm doing way better with Boss than I am Greedo, because I have way better defensive options and offensive options too. I just have better tools to deal with these type of characters. So right here, I just put the Dioxys down, bait him out. See if I get him out here. If not, it's whatever. Here I just get free grenade damage. K's in Mighty War. Here I can bait him out. Yup. That's a little bit of damage, but that's just of no consequence. That's whatever. So right here I can get the Leia for free. Yep, Leia is done. Right here I'll just go for my micro grenades, put my shit down. And unfortunately I lost the Chewie there. But yeah, I did way better there. But Chewie, this is a really good map for fucking Chewie, just to sit here and camp. Like, they're trying to beat Chewie on this map with Bosk is really, really hard. It's probably not going to happen, chances are. But you saw how I was able to, like, get him to use all of his abilities, keep getting out of the fight, keep being able to heal. Got into the fight, I managed to kill that Leia. We chipped that Luke to death and killed him. We just weren't able to do too much to Chewie. Greedo wouldn't be able to do any of that. He would not be able to do any of that at all. And this comes to another point I want to talk about. This is probably the last point I'll be talking about in this video regarding Greedo, because I feel like I got a little bit sidetracked. Greedo suffers from the same issues that Han Solo does, in that both of them do not do well versus defensive teams at all. They do not do well versus defensive teams at all. You see, these Rebels right now are playing very defensive. They're staying in the bunker. They're staying next to their Chewie. They're trying to stay really, really close. Keep a close formation to their Vader. Gank very well. While they are trying to stay together as well. They're trying to stay close to the Chewie. Try to get the Mighty War buff. Try to take advantage of the fact that they're going to be getting armor from Leia as well. They're trying to take advantage of Chewie, right? Greedo was going to have a lot of trouble getting the max trait in a matchup like this, where everybody is staying really close. Everybody is going to have all these fucking things that Greedo already has issues with, right? Greedo has issues with armor. He has issues with defensive, people out damaging him. People are armoring him. In a game like this, where there's Chewie, there's Leia, there's often like a 9 I'm running around putting bomb, so you have to deal with chip damage. You have to deal with the fact that characters are going to be out armoring you. You're going to have to deal with the fact that you have Chewie who will just instantly annihilate you and give you a lot of trouble. You're going to have to deal with all these issues and then some with Greedo. Whereas Bosk, you can just run away. You just play hit and run, slowly chip them, wait for them to make a mistake, and then take advantage of it. And the Chewie was playing pretty well. He wasn't coming to me, he was forcing me to come to him, right? Greedo would not be able to deal with that, because he does not have Bosk's passive, which slowly gives me some health once I damage people and when I kill soldiers. Like I said, it comes back to the fact that these characters struggle really badly with the offensive and defensive capabilities that the current meta is able to use. He just can't deal with it. Whereas there's characters like Boba Fett and Bosk who are able to deal with it. And now we come down to, like, why is, with all this in mind, why is Greedo a bad character? Here's the problem. Just overall, Greedo is super unsafe. Super, super unsafe. He doesn't have any safety because of his lack of defensive capabilities that we've been talking about. His offense, which doesn't really become that good until he hits trait 3, and is just overall, he's just outclassed other characters, meaning that people are just often going to flock to Bosk or Boba Fett if they want better offense. They're going to be flocking to Orson if they want better defensive options. Even Dengar has some advantages over Greedo, and Dengar also has a lot of problems. But Dengar has numerous things going for him, whereas somebody like Greedo is just going to be struggling, right? He's just going to be having a lot of issues when it comes to matchup, his lack of defensive capabilities, and his offense just being it's just not that impressive nowadays until he hits trait 3. And that it comes down to him having issues getting to trait 3. If he can't get to trait 3 by the time it matters, because he needs to have it in fights that matter. If he does not have trait, even if it's trait 2, if it's just trait 2, it's over. He's not going to win that fight. Chances are he's going to just die and lose and get insta-killed by a Chewie who just does not care, and he's just going to walk at him. It's just not going to happen, right? It's just going to be the typical, oh, I'm Chewie, so I get to walk at you and kill you for free. And Bossk and Boba Fett suffer these issues too. Those characters don't like having to fight Chewie indoors and play his game. But Greedo even more so because he needs trait to do anything, whereas Bossk don't need trait to do anything. Boba don't fucking need trait to do anything. I mean, it helps. It certainly helps to have more jetpack fuel, but it doesn't need it in all situations. Greedo fucking needs that shit. He needs to be in trait 3 at all times. He wants to be in trait 3 at all times, but the reality is, if you can't hit trait 3 when it matters, it's over. The fight's over. You're done, son. You're out of the fight. You're either going to be chipped to death, or you're just going to die outright, and you're going to be taken out of the fight. It's over for you. It's done. It's a one and done situation for you, dude. So, that's how I view fucking Greedo. I do not think that he has what every other character in this game has. He doesn't have the tools to be good. And it's just unfortunate because I feel like that he had the potential to be good. If the devs, updated him and kept him to the level of every other character, he might have had the potential to keep up with the top tiers in this game. The sad reality is that he was built to fight a meta that no longer exists. That meta is long gone. Outer Rim, the Outer Rim meta, it's been gone for like almost ever. We've for the longest time been in a meta that just involves high amounts of armor and damage and dealing as much damage as possible right away without any setup or having to do anything. Or defensive capabilities that make characters super safe. Greedo just doesn't have any of those tools, and he doesn't have the means to contend with the insane damage and tools that characters have. He just doesn't have it. So let's talk about, the just overall package, right? I'm probably going to wrap up this video now. And basically, I'm just going to put him on the tier list. Where would I put Greedo on the tier list? Well, considering that he's completely outclassed by every offensive Imperial threat and every defensive Imperial threat in the entire game, he doesn't really have any valuable tools that other characters already have, and they're way superior to what he has. He has massive amounts of matchup issues. He has massive, poor defensive options, and only has decent to, potentially bad offensive options, depending at his trait level. He's just a high-maintenance character, and you don't want a high-maintenance character these days. You just want a character you can pick up, and he or she could do well, without having to hit high levels of trait. Bossk does have issues, despite the fact that he's top tier, and that he's, arguably the best villain in the game. He's not flawless, but he's miles better than fucking Greedo is. Greedo is pretty much bottom of the barrel. He has nothing that Bossk doesn't have. Bossk has healing, he has speed, better offensive he just has everything. So does Boba Fett, and so does Orson. All these other characters have things that are way better than what Greedo has. So, because of that, and because of the fact that the Rebels, pretty much all the Rebels in this game, minus 9, have a way to offensively pressure Greedo. All of them do. And put him on the back foot and make sure that they don't have to play Greedo's game because of his severe matchup issues. If you know the Greedo matchup, and if you know how to play versus Greedo, I'd easily say that Greedo in this game is a C tier. He is a C tier. He's down there with 9. But at least with 9, he's top tier, best character in the game in all other modes. Greedo doesn't even have that going for him. He's just straight up bad and outclassed by every other character. There's no real reason to really use Greedo outside of using him to beat the shit out of really bad players or just meme. There's no reason to use the character. So, unfortunately, Greedo is just the worst character in the entire game in terms of, like, the Imperials. He's just really bad. Even in terms of, like, the Rebels, comparing him to all the Rebel characters, he just falls short and he's not very good. So, unfortunately, I just think, in terms of, like, the competitive meta and, you know, going against good teams, I honestly think that Greedo is completely, or almost completely unviable compared to the other insane options that you have. And compared to the insane options that the Rebels have that give Greedo a lot of trouble. So, I'm of the opinion that Greedo is the worst character in the game, and that he should never ever be used against a good team or good players ever. Just play Bosk. For real, just play Bosk. Never play Greedo. Y'all who are watching this video, all of y'all play Bosk anyway, right? There's a reason why you see Vader Emperor Bosk everywhere. Is because that team works. You never see Vader Emperor Greedo because Greedo is garbage and he's completely unviable. And he's just completely outclassed. So there you go. And there you have it. That's why I think Greedo in this game is completely unviable and he's the worst character in the game. And I think this wraps up this video. I don't really have too much else to say really about the character other than the fact that he's just bad and that the tools that he has aren't that good at all. He's just unfortunately a bad character that never got his justice, and it saddens me because I really like the way how Greedo is designed. It's just he never got a buff to really keep up with the insane shit that's in this game. So unfortunately, he's just a bottom tier character. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, like it, let me know in the comments what you guys think about Greedo. How would you change him, if he needs to be changed at all? What parts about, you know, the competitive meta would you change so it's more favorable for Greedo? Let me know in the comments below. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. I'll probably post more videos like this because I plan on intending on analyzing a character that's actually really good in this game. So, yeah, guys, look forward to that, and I will be seeing you guys in the next video. Take care, guys.